This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Russ Capper.
Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and welcome to episode number 103 of the Energy Makers Show. Today, first up, our topic is the commercialization of technology in the oil and gas space. Our guest, Shantanu Agarwal with Energy Ventures, first talking about the difficulties in commercialization, and then announcing an upcoming SPE Webinar hosted by Energy Ventures featuring Ashok Belani, Executive Vice President of Technology with Schlumberger, Shenoy, CTO of Conoco Phillips, and Einar, Gamman, Partner with Energy Ventures. Then up next, Marty Jimmerson, CFO with RigNet. This is the company providing high-performance oilfield communications for the upstream oil and gas industry. All of that right after this.
At BKD, we understand the constantly shifting nature of the energy industry. As a national CPA and advisory firm, we serve energy clients from the beginning to the end of the cycle. Our experienced energy advisors serve approximately 300 energy companies in exploration, midstream, downstream, oilfield services, and power production. Plus, we're the largest North American member of the Praxity Global Alliance, which means we can help you wherever you operate. Contact a BKD advisor or visit us online to learn more.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. Our topic now is the challenge of commercialization of technology in oil and gas. And my guest is Shantanu Agarwal of Energy Ventures. Shantanu, welcome to the Energy Makers Show.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
All right. Well, before we get into this challenge, which I know is extraordinary to a degree, tell us about Energy Ventures.
Yeah, Energy Ventures is a venture capital private equity group, and our headquarters is in Norway, in Stavanger. And we have offices in Aberdeen in Scotland and in Houston, USA, and representative offices in Calgary, Rio de Janeiro, in the Middle East, and in Singapore. So as you can see, we are all in all the oil field places. So what we do is we do oil field technology commercialization, and we do oil field growth equity investments in companies which are commercializing technology in the space.
Okay, so what do you do here at Energy Ventures?
So I'm an investment manager. I'm based out of the Houston office, and my job is to manage the portfolio of companies which I am on the board representative of, and also make new investments. And I've recently made one here in Houston. So pretty pleased to be here in Houston, which is a hubbub of activity right now. Lots of things happening, growing very fast.
Okay, what was the new company that Energy Ventures just made an investment in?
It's still not public, so I can't really reveal the name of it, but it's in the completions domain.
Okay.
The overall, and it's related to the shale gas, shale oil space. So it'll come out very soon.
Okay. Help us understand a little bit better. How much of your time do you spend managing existing ventures that you're already on the board of directors versus hunting for new ones?
I think the time is almost 50-50, or sometimes even more leaning towards managing the companies, because we are very, very active investors. We love to help the investments which we make. That's how we create the alpha, as they say in the investment speak. We are active in finding new people, finding new sales opportunities and marketing strategy, everything. So we spend a lot of time with our companies, and that's what takes a lot of time as well when they need them.
Okay. All right. So in your words, describe, is it difficult to get new technology commercialized within the oil and gas space?
Absolutely. It is one of the most difficult things as compared to other industries.
Sure.
I think oil field has significantly more challenge in adopting technologies. I'll quote you a McKinsey report, which was done like about 7-8 years ago now.
Okay.
But they compared the IT sector, the health sector, the industrial sector, and the oil field sector. And on the IT sector, where the commercialization from ideation phase was about 5 years, the oil field came out to be 20 to 25 years. So that tells you what it is in terms of challenging work that we need to sort of get through. And at Energy Ventures, what we take pride in is to figure out how to speed up this commercialization process, be it from really early to prototype, or prototype to actually getting it in the field, or in the field to actually making a fully commercial product out there in the marketplace. And in the investments we've made till date, of which 12 we have sold already to various different trade companies or IPO'd. We have seen that we can actually shorten this time significantly.
Great. So what do you attribute this lengthy time before it's accepted in the space?
It's various causes. I think principal one is oil field in general is very, very risk averse.
Right.
Because it's high capital equipment and a lot of safety requirements for the people. And secondly, the decision makers are people who are working in a large organization, and they're not really paid to take the risk, or they're not rewarded for taking the risk with the new technology. Although the company as a whole will benefit from this new technology commercialization, that person who's making the decision, who's in a large organization, does not benefit from the risk he's taking. He was only getting the downfall. If the technology fails, then that person gets blamed, because why did you try something which was not broken? Something we had a solution which worked.
Right.
It cost more and performed low, but it worked.
Right.
Now you tried something new, it didn't work, and it wasted money. So that's the biggest challenge, trying to get them to look at the bigger picture, that yes, trying this new technology will improve your risk. You're taking more risk, but improve your overall economics.
Right. So my version of that is the risk reward is out of sync in large companies doing this. The reward side doesn't exist. Yeah, very well said. Okay. Well, obviously, Energy Ventures cares about this category, this topic about commercialization of technology. And in that regard, you guys are hosting an event coming up shortly, right?
That is correct. We are hosting an event here in our Houston office. And the genesis of this event comes from the thought that, who are the big main players in the technology commercialization? They are the big oil companies. So we have the CTO of the biggest independent oil company in the world, Conoco Phillips, Mr. Shenoy, as representing the oil company world. And then we have the other big piece as a service companies. So we have this CTO of the biggest oilfield service company in the world, Schlumberger, Mr. Ashok Belani, participating. And then the third piece is private venture capital and private equity, where we have, obviously because we're hosting it, and we are one of the leaders, we have a senior partner from Energy Ventures participating, Mr. Einar Gamman. So we got all these three distinguished gentlemen to come together, and I think what we'll have is a very, very interesting discussion back and forth of the perspectives, because these guys sit in very different seats and do the same thing, technology commercialization. So it'll be a very interesting discussion of what are the pitfalls, how to avoid them, how to actually take a technology from ideation phase, which is happening all around us here, and take it to the field trial, to commercialization, to a full-fledged product which is out in the market. And nowhere better to do that other than Houston, because we are where the most entrepreneurs in oil and gas is, and there's a boom happening, a revolution happening here. So it'll be a very interesting session. It is scheduled for 10th of October, and it's at 12 noon Central Time, so here in Houston time.
And it's a webinar.
And it's a webinar, so everybody can participate. And you can just go to SPE.org, which is the SPE website, click at events, and look at the list of events. You'll see 10th of October, Technology Commercialization Webinar. Click at that, register yourself, and you'll get an email with the way to access it. Not only are you able to see and watch these dignitaries speak about technology commercialization challenges, but also you'll be able to ask them questions on the live session which we're having, where Russ Capper, our own Russ Capper, will be hosting. And it should be a fun event because it's interactive, and we'll actually get these guys to shed some light on the mystery of technology commercialization.
Absolutely. October the 10th, 12 noon Houston time.
That is absolutely
SPE. All right. Well, Shantanu, I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
All right. And I really appreciate you sharing the event with us and the perspective that you've shared with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Russ, for having me on this show.
You bet. All right. And that wraps up my discussion with Shantanu Agarwal of Energy Ventures. We'll be back with more right after this. Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and this is Drilling Bits, brought to you by Sikich. I'm joined by Greg Price, the author of Drilling Bits. Greg, welcome to your show.
Russ, thanks for having me back. Love to talk to you about the oilfield business.
You bet. Well, here we are, kicking this one off in the brand new offices of Sikich here in Houston. offices that have unbelievable history in the area of helping oil and gas companies solve problems.
That's correct. We are in the offices that were formerly the headquarters of the Red Adair Foundation and Family Business.
Wow, and there was some major problem solving that took place right from here, right?
That's right. Red Adair was obviously world renowned for solving problems in the oil patch. And it's indeed quite interesting and of historic significance that we start out our oilfield services solution team right here in the same offices where he was during the latter parts of his career.
Absolutely. And did that have a bit of an influence on you choosing this location?
As a matter of fact, it did. I thought that that was quite, apropos that we're going to be right here where he orchestrated some of his final deals, and the family office continued on after his passing, but it's exciting to be here.
Well, I have this feeling that you're going to be solving some big oil field problems. None of them that really involve fire, though, right?
Well, that depends. Some of our customers think they're fires, that's for sure. But in the literal sense, no, they're not that, and I'd like to talk to you about one of those.
All right. Which one?
Well, first of it has to do with what I would call multiple companies and customer service. And so one of the things we hear a lot of today is that our customers have multiple companies to deal with various business lines or other reasons rather than just having it all under one company's name.
Absolutely.
And as a result of that, it gets complex in terms of following up with their customers' accounts, their needs, what's the status of orders, what's the status of their payments, et cetera. And so we've got a solution with the NAV 2013 solution that addresses all of that very seamlessly.
Addressing multiple company operations.
That's correct. We have visibility to allow our customers to see into an unlimited number of companies to check the status of their accounts from major customers such as an Exxon or a Shell, and also other companies that may also have multiple lines of business to deal with various risk mitigation or service issues.
All right, really cool. All right, and that wraps up this edition of the Drilling Bits. Thanks for tuning in.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. My guest now is Marty Jimmerson, CFO with RigNet. Marty, welcome to the Energy Makers Show.
Thank you, Russ. Good morning.
Good morning, and tell us about RigNet.
Well, RigNet is a unique company where we provide mission-critical services to the oil and gas industry. We were founded in 2001 by three Norwegian entrepreneurial engineer-type individuals. They saw the need for improved voice communications out on offshore drilling rigs, and also saw the need for data and video communications down the road. That's how we got our start, which was initially with ENSCO as our launch customer. And it's a very unique story in the sense that it was Norwegians that founded the company, opened their first office in Houston, Texas, and our first award was in Asia Pacific. So that really brought to what RigNet is today is an international company.
Well, Marty, describe for me the global reach of the company.
Well, Russ, today we're in over 30 countries around the globe, and we're very proud of that. That's not an easy accomplishment. You just do not decide you're going to go operate in a certain country. There's certain telecom and legal requirements that you've got to comply with, and so we take our compliance program very seriously. Today we have core regional headquarters in Singapore, Doha, Stavanger, Aberdeen, Brazil, Lafayette, and then our main headquarters here in Houston.
Does that mean you have people in all those
we do.
locations? Wow.
And so today, prior to the Inmarsat acquisition, we'll have a little over 400 employees with roughly half of those people sitting in our international locations and the rest being here in the U.S.
Impressive. Well, I've done lots of research on the company, and I'm impressed with what you guys do. But it blows me away that in 2001 and prior to that, we thought you didn't really have to make an exerted effort to communicate with offshore rigs and with people that were actually using incredible data throughout the process. And today, I guess everybody's almost completely connected. Would that be accurate?
It is true, Russ. And what I would say is back in 2001, almost every rig had some form of communication. Now, maybe it wasn't via satellite. It
Right.
could have easily been over a satellite phone. My background originally started after public accounting with Childs Offshore Corporation, who had just gone public in the early 90s. And I was a controller then, and one of the teasers every month was when I'd get this satellite phone bill off of the rig.
Right.
And it was very expensive, and
Right.
I'm going, surely there's got to be a better way. And so while the vision's always been about increased need for additional communication off of the rig, it is by far surpassed even what I think our founders envisioned on day one.
Right. And when you looked at that satellite phone bill back then, there was just voice communication, was it not?
Oh, it was just voice.
Right.
If a rig was close enough to shore, you might be able to have fax communication of the
Okay.
morning report. But other than that, it was the mailbag on the crew boat going out to the rig saying, send more supplies or bring more supplies.
Oh my goodness! So I'm also aware of RigNet from having interviewed your CEO for our other show quite a few years ago. And it's right, isn't it, that you and Mark both came here and you followed the founders?
That is correct. Mark and I came in as second-generation management to transition the company from an entrepreneurial founded
Right.
company to a company that was ready to take it to the next stage. We were not tasked with changing the business model, but more about achieving and recognizing the underpinned value in the company and try and move it forward with an enhanced strategy.
Well, from what I've seen, the growth, you've certainly achieved that objective. You've also taken the company public. And I think you're even in the kind of a little bit maybe of the M&A business these days.
That is correct. So let me back up just a bit. So when Mark and I arrived, we had roughly $50 million of revenue and a very small amount of EBITDA. Today, we're on track for a little over $200 million of revenue.
Wow.
And a little over $50 million of EBITDA.
Nice.
So we've grown substantially, and most of that has been organically. Since having gone public in December of 2010, which was not a liquidity event, it was essentially a recapitalization event for us to continue to recognize the organic opportunities, but take advantage of inorganic opportunities. After we went public, we do annually review our strategy and continue to refresh it. And what we've concluded is that RigNet is going to be most successful remaining a pure play in the energy business.
Okay.
We believe in the life of field concept across offshore drilling rigs, across production platforms, energy maritime, and both U.S. land and international land rigs. It's essentially, for the most part, the same type of communication need. RigNet remains agnostic to the type of communication. It could be satellite, could be microwave, could be WiMAX, possibly fiber. We look to provide the best solution for our customer, and we believe that's what our customers are looking for. Through those initiatives of offshore rigs, production platforms, energy maritime, and land rigs, we will continue to look for opportunities through M&A where we think that will help kickstart us, and we think it's a good use of our capital to gain scale.
All right, so have there actually been any acquisitions?
Absolutely. Most recently, in August of this year, we announced that RigNet will acquire the energy retail broadband business from Inmarsat. That transaction is scheduled to close in early 2014. We'll pay roughly $25 million for what I would describe as a core microwave network in the Gulf of Mexico. And we view this as an additional technical solution that we can offer to our customers and scale it across the RigNet platform.
So when you talked about being agnostic about the channel, do you get into the channel business at all?
I try not to,
Okay.
but certainly we have a very deep team here at RigNet led
Right.
by Morton Hansen and some great experience underneath him. And what's important to know is that we don't own IP. but what we have is know-how.
Okay.
And what's always just super entertaining and a learning experience for me every day here at RigNet is to learn what you can do behind the scenes from a technical side rather than just a simple plug and play.
Right. Well, I must think that also with the the whole deep water thing going on now, the sensitivity of potential problems, the emphasis on safety, that communications has probably increased significantly in importance. And I would also imagine when there has been an incident, say the couple that we've had in the Gulf in the last few years, that your lines kind of light up. Is that accurate?
It's a very true statement.
Yeah.
When we went public in December of 2010, we did a study on communication to a rig, and we compared the similar type rig in the North Sea to the Gulf of Mexico, both for a jackup drilling rig and a floater, which could be a semi-submersible or a drill ship. And what we found, interestingly, was that the bandwidth being subscribed to in the North Sea at that particular time, and this was pre-Macondo, was 2 times the volume in the North Sea that it was in the Gulf of Mexico. And more importantly, the North Sea also utilizes both a primary and a secondary communication system. And we think that kind of speaks to the regulatory oversight, as well as kind of the reinforced safety and focused solutions that come out of the North Sea. Since Macondo, we've clearly seen an increase in bandwidth demand, not only across the globe, but in the Gulf of Mexico. Can we tell you that it's regulatory related? Is it data transmission off of the rig to make improved enhancements to the operations? Is it crew welfare? We like to say it's yes, yes, and yes.
All of the above.
It's everything.
Well, I don't know, but I have this vision of control rooms, particularly with some of the majors, where it seems to me like they're probably always checking in, seeing real-time data from their properties out in the Gulf. Would that be accurate?
What I'd offer to you is there's some form of communication.
Right.
There are those out there that envision effectively a war room,
right.
Where you've got a nerve center
Right.
watching all the operations,
Right.
and you're asking a rig hand to take a video camera and look at a particular piece of equipment and see if there's a crack.
Right.
While I don't think we're there today, it's certainly feasible that you would end up with a war room in the near future.
Interesting. And I suppose also on the other end of the spectrum, you have the rig worker out there that wants to play their favorite online game at night when they're off duty. Would that be the case?
Or maybe they want to go through some safety training.
Right.
But no, it's a very important part. Is the oil and gas industry is served by thousands of employees.
Right.
It's a business that's been in existence for a long time,
Right.
And it's hiring younger people every day. Those are people who have grown up with PDAs. They need connectivity. They're typically offshore at 28 days at a time. And it'd be hard for you and I to go anywhere for 28 days at a time. But
Sure.
if you can't make a phone call, maybe kind of think about any fishing or hunting goods that you may need when
Right.
your crew hitch ends, and to be able to order that, you and I probably wouldn't go back offshore.
That's probably true for sure, too. That's pretty interesting. Okay, but before I let you go, I mean, you've sort of really done a good job of talking about how focused, you are on the energy space and going to stay there, essentially. But you could be distracted to something that takes advantage of this incredible technology and know-how that you have here.
Yes, we believe that what we have is a global network that we could utilize across additional adjacent spaces. Examples could include maybe government, maybe mining, maybe the general maritime market, and possibly retail opportunities.
Wow.
And certainly that's a possibility. We do explore it, but for the time being, we believe in the oil and gas business.
All right, well, Marty, I really appreciate you sharing the RigNet story with us.
Russ, thank you, and a pleasure to be here today.
You bet. And that wraps up my discussion with Marty Jimmerson, the CFO of RigNet. And that wraps up this episode of the Energy Makers Show, heard on the radio and seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com.